Greetings and welcome to the channel. This is Michaela from Team Retro, where we like retro games and the devices that bring them to us. It is currently March 4th, 2024, about 3:37 p.m. and I've been following some news all day about the fate of one of our favorite emulators. So in this video, I want to report on what exactly happened and what you need to know going forward. So this video isn't really meant to be a panic, doom and gloom video. It's not a video that I normally do, but I feel that this is such an important blow to the emulation scene that I do need to take between 5 and 10 minutes and cover it. And this is in regards to the Yuzu emulator and possibly even the Citra emulator. So let's dive in and let's get to work. So, as of today, the Yuzu emulator has actually been shut down and is ceasing further development. The GitHub page is gone, as well as any links to relevant downloads, and the Yuzu website is also going to be taken down at some point as well, and they seem to be in the process of doing that removal. And this all comes from a court document that was made public this morning. It wasn't signed. Basically, what it shows is that last week, Nintendo sued the developers of the Yuzu emulator. Today, we come to find out that Yuzu's legal team and Nintendo's legal team came to a settlement which actually awards $2.4 million in damages to Nintendo from Yuzu. Now, there's quite a few things in this document that basically do sign the death warrant for Nintendo Switch emulation through the Yuzu emulator. And so that's kind of what I want to go over in this video today. So I am going to be reading a couple of things off of this document, and when I do that, I am going to take the camera off me and actually show the document because I don't want you to see me looking down. I don't have a script right now. This is very off the cuff. It's very unlike me. It's very unplanned. But this news is so timely that I wanted to get it out. And Nefarious Ways, if you're watching this video, okay, enough of that. Let's get into the serious news. So I will leave a link in the video description to this court document if you want to read it in its entirety, but I'm going to pick out some of the most important parts of this document and how this could potentially impact the Switch emulation scene and the Switch modding scene going forward. The defendant is no longer allowed to offer to the public any type of promotion, cloning, hosting, testing, or distributing anything that has to do with Yuzu and its source code, which means that if this team were to make another Switch emulator, it cannot use the same source code as Yuzu. So it's not as simple as the team saying, okay, we're not going to make Yuzu anymore. Here's another emulator called Zuzu that has nothing to do with Yuzu. They can't do that because they have to have completely different source code, which basically means that if they want to attempt this again in the future and try to be more on the up and up about it, they can't use anything they learned from Yuzu. Another part of the document that seems to be important here is on page 3, where they say the court further enjoins all third parties acting in active concert and participation with the defendant from offering to the public, providing marketing, advertising, promoting, selling, testing, hosting, cloning, blah, 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 trafficking in Yuzu or any source code or features of Yuzu, and offering to the public and all those other things a way to access anything that uses copies of Nintendo's proprietary cryptographic keys, which are the product keys and the title keys to decrypt Nintendo's video games. So those are the prod.keys files that you probably already have either taken from your own Switch or found on the internet somewhere. And it's basically saying that the defendant or any third parties, so any other sources, are no longer allowed to post or make available those files, which means that those files are going to be harder to get. Page 4 of the document basically says that they have to surrender their website. So as of this recording, the Yuzu website is still up. I can still go to the website and it still references Yuzu. However, the GitHub is gone. Hey everyone, Editing Mikhailov here, and wow, news is really moving fast. As of 5:38 p.m., which is after I did my initial recording, the website is completely down, and all you're going to get is a message from the developers that basically says, thanks for your support. They never intended for the app to be used for piracy, and thank you very much for all your service. So Yuzu website completely down. There is no way to get Yuzu as of right now unless you already had it, or unless you find like another source that had it pre-downloaded ahead of time. It's going to be harder and harder to find it. Granted, it's the internet. It's not going to be that much harder, but you're not going to be able to get it directly from Yuzu. Even if you were going to get your hands on it, you're not going to see any further development or improvement or anything like that. Another part of the court order specifically mentions the defendant cannot use any circumvention tools used for developing or using Yuzu. And they mention quite a bit of them. Tegra RCM GUI, Hecate, Atmosphere, Lockpick RCM, ND Dump Tool, NX Dump Fuse, Tegra Explorer, basically all of the things that you can use for modded switches. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a man with a microphone interpreting this court order and interpreting what the defendant, being the Yuzu developers, can or cannot do under this injunction. It's not saying that Nintendo is going after all of those tools that you need for Switch modding and to do things with your modded Switch. And those are all terms that have to do with a modded Switch, not necessarily with Yuzu itself. I would just say definitely have an Emunand and just kind of keep your nose to the grindstone as far as keeping an eye on Switch news or Switch modding news and all that, because Nintendo's lawyers using those terms could potentially mean that there's a time limit there and the modding scene might be running into more and more trouble. And so news on this scene is happening very fast. Even as I record, there was an announcement made on the EmuDeck Discord that basically says that they released a new version of EmuDeck that completely removes Yuzu and puts another emulator at front and center. Gelos is no longer using Yuzu in any of its builds. Here are my two takeaways and what I want you to get out of this news and get out of this video. One, back up your Yuzu folders, your Yuzu saves, any of your copies of Yuzu, back those up, keep them in an archive somewhere, because they are no longer going to be able to function within these other programs that you may use like EmuDeck. And two, keep an eye on the Nintendo Switch modding scene, because we may get impacted there in the future just because of the mention of some of those other programs. That'll do it for this video. I wish it was better news. I wish it was a happier video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And please feel free to continue this conversation on the Retro Handhelds and the Steam Machine Discord channels. Links to both of those links are in the description down below. If you want to subscribe to the Patreon like these wonderful people, I would very much appreciate it. It helps to keep the lights on here at Team Retrogue, and I appreciate all the support of the patrons thus far. And I apologize for kind of being a little bit off in this video. Not only am I sad, but I've also never done a video in this format before, so this is all new to me. So again, if you have feedback, come to those Discord channels. And if this video was helpful to you in any way, please be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, bye for now, and don't stop believing.